So I'm in my art studio and I thought today I would join in with Art Witch April. Now Art Witch April is the brainchild of Eris Elizabeth and Faerie Sarah, and I'll link their channels and their Instagrams below. Now for Art Witch April they put together 5 weeks worth of prompts and we're on week 3 now and I've not had a second to join in. Week 2 is share your stash. And if you can see up here, I've got a whole load of things for my artwork, but it's underneath it all is the base for the hot tub. And I'm about to start building the hot tub again. So I need to get all of this down. So I thought, wow, I could just go through some of the boxes with you and show you the types of things I collect for my art. Week 1's prompt was Merry Meet the Art Witches. So I could talk about as well, while I'm getting all of this down, the sort of training I've had for my art practice, so you know a bit more about that. Week 3, which we're in now, is Muse week, so I could talk about my inspiration. So I'm kind of doing weeks 1, 2 and 3 all in one video. I pulled this off the top. If you've seen my video about this, you will already be familiar with that. That was a piece that I did for Mab Graves Inktober, where she used lots of Halloween prompts. It was her version of Inktober, which is Draw-a-leen for Halloween. Loads of different creatures in there, but that was exploring narcissistic abuse. I will link the video to that down below, but that's just sat on top of everything. In here there is journaling stuff, and we've got some wool here. So journaling stash, a friend gave me a lot of this. So loads of cheap sequins, so things that I can stick in my journal. Loads of letters. I'll just grab these as and when I see them. These were given to me by a friend. She was decluttering her mum's house. Cheap stamps, frames. These would have been picked up from charity shops. Ribbons, autumn leaves, washi tape, paper gems, so all sorts of stickers and ribbons and stamps. A lot of this is either charity shop finds or people clearing out their craft stuff. Box number 2 is loads of wool. Gosh, this stuff I used to do so much work with, this gold rayon. A lot of this reminds me of my dad, because we used to go to house clearance auctions and we would buy all of the wool and all of the sewing materials. So a lot of that came secondhand. Okay, this top box wedged in here is was sent to me by a friend. It's actually lots of strands of different coloured hair. Yes, I do have a box of hair, all in different colours. So let's shove that up there. And these are inserts from the kids' games. Now this reminded me of, you can see what I'm doing, Lulu. This reminded me of the drawings I used to do as a kid. I used to do on repeat hundreds and hundreds of drawings of a house with windows and a door and an apple tree in the garden, and I just love this. This is one of the kids' baby games, and after you pulled out all the pieces of the game, I was left with those, but I didn't want to get rid of them. I loved them. Same with this, again, inserts, and these all game inserts. Also kept, because some of my work, I did a series called the Connection series, and I'll put some pictures in now of that, but a lot of that was based on layering drawings and rubbings. So all of these things were things I collected to do rubbings with. My gosh. And you can see there's a cardboard template. So that was my embryo template that I used for a lot of the Connection series, and a smaller one there. So just collecting these. So the sides of baskets are broken. That was a laundry basket I found at the tip. Like just anything with texture in. You know, drink coasters, got for pennies. A unicorn. So drink coasters, and then these are like dinner plates. I think I got those for like 10p each at IKEA when they were taking stuff out. Oh my gosh, the bottom of an old shoe because of the circle. I just love circles. So this is a box full of things that are linked to doing rubbings, and there's some alphabet stamps there which I forgot I'd got. Oh my gosh, I've not used this. This has got so many ideas in this. This is why I don't need to buy any more resources at all. I just need to start making. But this is a box of things that have little containers. Don't ask me why I'm fascinated, but I just am. One of my favourite all-time artists is Joseph Cornell, who made things in boxes, and I used to make boxed art. So this is just a collection of things that have got little containers. So this was an old medicine compartment that I found. These were the units that some of the buttons came in from my auntie's old-fashioned sewing shop. So I put all the buttons in jars and then had those containers. And then there's these storage boxes. These were on sale, I think, in the works. They were just getting rid of them all, and I just loved the fact that there was containers. Yeah, I just love it. This was like a bead set. Again, inserts. That was a kid's bead set. Just anything that has a sort of boxed container element. But there are loads of these again. That can go in there. Gosh, these were bought in the Worcestershire scrap place when I was a teacher. There was a place where you could go and spend like £20 a trolley and fill it with industrial scrap waste. I had to stop going because it got ridiculous. And I've actually got tons of these. They're like the plastic that's left after industry has chopped out shapes. But again, the circle, guys, the circle. I've got loads in the loft. Should I take you up into the loft to show you what I've got up there? Oh, I might. Now, I had a thing about tins. I used to collect tins. Again, it's the same idea as the boxes, like contained art or a world within a tin. I did start collecting tins. I used to have a little dog called Moses, who was one of those dogs, and I had to get rid of him. I had to rehome him to a beautiful home because he fought terribly with my Irish Terrier that I had at the time. Broke my heart. Again, that's for rubbing. That should be in with the rubbings box. More tins. Irish Terrier tin. Look at that tin. That's amazing. Yeah, bought from a florist warehouse. This is fabric, water-soluble fabric that you can sew onto and then dissolve the fabric. I used to do a lot of sewing like that. Oh, fabric. So old sheets. Oh, this used to be a dress. But this was one of Poppy's dresses that she loved. A lot of their clothes have got beautiful fabric I can't get rid of because I love fabric and I love the memories held within things. This is velvet. For a long time I worked with velvet. So any cheap velvet I find. Any old these are old leggings. Gosh, these were maternity leggings. Yeah, look. Maternity, I lived in those brown velvet maternity leggings. That's how cool I am. Shower curtains, more velvet. Oh my gosh, I love velvet. These are sample books that if you ask for, sometimes you'll get given. Okay, what's in this little box? Electrical wires. Now those would have been bought. Those would have been bought from auction boxes with my dad. So that's how long I've had these. Oh, and there's beads there to an old chandelier. Oh my gosh! Now this bag is so precious. When every year my dad would make Christmas crackers. Now he wasn't arty at all, but he used to make our Christmas crackers every year. So he would collect toys to put inside the crackers, and these are really old vintage cracker toys. And when he died, I got given his box of cracker making supplies, which it's not just art supplies, that really means something to me. Look, there's a cat on a moon, a pirate eye patch, whistles, all sorts. Mermaid key rings. What's going on out there? There he is. He wants some attention. Come on. What's the matter? He's looking for Luna. Hey, what's the matter? Hey? Shush, don't stop barking. Go on. What else have we got? Angelina fibres, which I bought and still don't know how to use. Ooh, a big bag of beads. So, bulk white beads. Yes, that is what it looks like. Oh gosh, now this goes all the way back to university days. When I lived in High Barnet in North London, it was when acid attacks very first started, and on the Northern Line, where I lived in High Barnet, it was the Northern Line where all the attacks were happening, and the women being targeted. Now this is going back to the early like 1990. The women that were being targeted were all beautiful, slim, blonde women. So I was doing weaving at the time at university, so I went round all of the tube stations collecting patterns, collecting discarded tube tickets, and I did weavings with all of the discarded tube tickets, and I melted Barbie dolls into the weavings, and it was like a body of work that was based on objectifying women and seeing women as these playthings and discardable, or, you know, throwawayable, or just like women not being respected. So that's something left over from those days. So you can see a lot of these art supplies I've had for forever. So there's all sorts of beads. Oh, these were IKEA bought. These were things in the IKEA sale for pennies. Okay, the last box I'm on top. Again, you can see that electrical wire stash that I got. There are different wires in there as well. So that's just all bits of metal and wire. Oh, what's that? Oh my gosh. That is an embroidery going all the way back to my diploma years in Hereford Art College. So going back to who I am and my training, which I said I would be talking about, I did my A-levels and did art and geography and English literature A-level, and then took a year out because I didn't know whether I wanted to go to music college or art college, and then I decided in that year out I wanted to go to art college. So I did a 1-year BTEC diploma, which you have to do before you can do a degree in art, and I did that at Hereford Art College, and I realised doing that it was layering textures next to each other that I loved, and I lived in the textile lab. It was that made me realise I wanted to go on to do textiles as my degree. But this is the sort of stuff I was making. You can see that layer, metal next to cloth, next to embroidery is still a passion. And look, you can see this layering in that now. So that's like a little mirror. I'm going to keep that out. I'm going to make a confession as well. Look what else I've kept out. Those brown maternity trousers. I'm probably the right size for them, even though I'm not pregnant at 52. I'm just a lot bigger than I was. This is the bag that was up there. I can't. Oh, there's tons and tons of leaf skeletons. These leaf skeletons were like a penny each. I can't remember where I got them from. I've had them years. These are all things I bought for my wedding, to do wedding things with. Look at all the leaf skeletons. Children's toys that couldn't be thrown away. Clips for bike wheels that couldn't be thrown away. Fairy tale castles. Now, all of these are kept with the idea of doing work about inner child work or fairy tales gone wrong, because, you know, my daughter's medicine. Sorry, I do wonder what the noise is. My dogs are charging in and out at me. Medicine containers. I've just started collecting those again. I don't know why, but curtain hoops. No, what are you doing in there, little penguin? Oh, you can come out and sit with me in my art studio. You can sit out there. Yeah, look at this. Oh my gosh, I've started collecting these again, but years ago I must have had the same idea. Ooh, playing cards shoved in here before I became interested in tarot. Those are coming out. Oh, there's some more artwork of mine there. These were called Tilly's Treasures. I used to sell these with all love quotes on. It says, being deeply loved by someone gives you strength. Loving somebody deeply gives you courage. Oh, I used to sell those. Oh, a flower press. I've got my flower presses. I've got a few flower presses because I loved pressed flowers. I wonder if there's anything in there. Shall we open it up and see? Okay, while I'm opening this, so I'll tell you a bit more about my training. So I did my year at Hereford Art College, and then applied to Goldsmiths to do fine art textiles and didn't get in. I really clashed with one of the women on the interview panel, and I didn't get in. So I hadn't put a second choice down, but my Hereford tutors, they phoned around and they got me an interview for Middlesex University to their constructed textiles degree. There was one second place open, and there were about 250 people going for it, and I got it. And the funny thing was, the artist Michael Brennan Wood had been on the interview panel for Goldsmiths, where I'd failed to get in, and he worked at Middlesex as well, and he said, why didn't you apply to Goldsmiths? You'd have been brilliant there. And I had to laugh and say, well, you actually interviewed me and I didn't get in. So there's mould, but I don't think there's anything in here. That's a shame. Shall we keep it out and do some flower pressing? I've actually got some flowers. I did put some roses to dry. Should we go and have a look at those? They're from last year, and this has just reminded me that that they're there. I'm going to go and have a look. Underneath my box full of paints which I made. Can you see under here? These are roses being pressed from last year. Hey. Dun 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 dun. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Can you see? Is it light enough? Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Oh, this one looks like it's fallen apart a little bit. Is it all going to fall off? Oh my gosh, look at this, guys. Isn't that amazing? Is there another one underneath? Oh, there is. Oh my gosh. How lovely are those? Those are gorgeous. I'd actually forgotten. Oh, there's some more under there. I'd actually forgotten that these were here until I found that flower press. Oh my gosh, there's more, look. Oh, I love them. Dried flowers from the Magic Garden, dried and pressed. Right, I'm going to very carefully put them all back. So that is just between cardboard boxes and paper, just to stop them from meshing into each other. Talk about a makeshift flower press. But there you go, it worked. Yeah. Let me show you this box. Now, when I realised that I would have to make all of these fences, because they're fenced in, those beds, because the dogs were getting up onto the steps, and of course it's only a little hop then in, and they were digging out all the plants on repeat. And then Rupert began jumping over there and pushing through the hedge into next door, which is why there's a mirror there, because there's a great big hole over the hedge. So I realised that I'd have to fence in these beds to save some of my plants. And I got some quotes, and the cheapest quotes I managed to get were £500. Who's got £500? So I collected from a landlord who'd got a hoarding situation with a tenant and was kicking them out. Put onto Free Cycle, which is our local site where you can get free things. He'd put loads of pallets available for anybody who can get them. So I knew I needed some wood, and I knew I'd need to make fences myself, and the wood needed to be free because it was too expensive to buy. So I went to this house. Oh my lord, I opened the back gate into the garden, and there was rubbish, like it was like 6-7 foot high, the bags of rubbish, and the pallets were right in the back corner of the garden. So the landlord said, you can have as many as you want, but you've got to just try and get to them. And I literally filled my driveway up with pallets. So I suddenly had all this wood, and I panicked and thought, I don't know how to work with wood. I don't know how to use power tools. I don't know how to screw wood together. So this was my tester. And I just thought, I don't know how to hold wood, how to connect wood, how to join it together. And then a little voice inside me went, but what would you do if it was paper and you were having to do something with paper? And I suddenly got it. If somebody asked me to form a structure like this with paper, I'd know where to bend the paper and make the flap so I could detach one bit to another. So I just pretended that the wood was paper. And there you go. So wood and collecting things off Free Cycle and bits of metal and pallets, that's all part of my stash as well, because out here is my garden art studio stash. So yes, I am that woman that collects bits of metal, bits of wood, pallets, broken gazebos. All of that is part of my stash too. But this was the very first thing I ever built with wood, and then I tried different ways of putting this pattern on it. So this is serviettes. If you've seen my my door video for the garden, you'll know what this technique is, and I'll link that below as well. And it was my tester to see if this would work. But then I was left with this lovely old rustic box, and this is where I keep all my paints. Look, so there's oil colour paints which I still haven't used. These are all oils. Brush cleaner, gosh, that was very extravagant. When did I buy that? Walnut oil. So these are all things to start trialing my oil painting with. And this, none of it used. Why do oils intimidate me so much? Guys, I'm gonna have to give it a go. I'll share it, and if it doesn't work, you can all have a giggle. In this corner, let's do this. So my paper stash. Oh, rubbings, that needs to go in with the rubbings. Let's get that out and put that in with the rubbings. So these would have been piles of paper that I've bought from that industrial warehouse. The old inserts of books, watercolour paper. Oh my gosh, this, guys, is the illustration that sparked the 100 Dolls and Me. This needs to come out. This is too precious to be wedged in there. This illustration here is, she's the paper doll that lowered the veil over my eyes for abuse. She started the most important art series of my life to date. So you can see there's all sorts of bits of paper in there. You know, cheap kiddies card, wrappers from presents. This is my Who Gives a Crap toilet paper covers that I keep. Books that I've decided not to read. I used to put out words from. Oh, this! Oh my gosh, I used to have reams and reams of this stuff. This stuff I loved. I found this in a skip, a whole roll of it. And because squares, for me, my representation of safety and protection, I did use that for a long time because it's got squares inbuilt. Don't ask me what it's from. I do not know. But it was found in a skiff. Vintage wrapping paper. Found in a charity shop. You know, packing material. Sweetie things. The kids know every Easter not to throw any of their cellophane or tin foil away. Oh, an old Irish Terrier. An old Irish Terrier calendar. Now this is the type of dog that my Maisie was. She was an Irish Terrier. This would have been gifted to me by Lucy, who is just amazing in the Irish Terrier world. And we bumped into her at Crofts a couple of years ago. I think she's in her 90s now. And she remembered me from years ago and gifted the kids calendars and stickers and all sorts. Old patterns, which I love to not to actually sew with, but to actually use the paper for drawing on. Although, look at some of those little numbers. Oh, those might be worth looking at. What's this one? Oh, look at those clothes. Oh, size 8. Never mind, we could adapt. Is it size 8? Oh, it's girls' clothes. Oh, I might get those out and look at the patterns and see if I can adapt them. Those are epic. Look at those. Okay, what else have we got in here? Maps, all old maps collected from charity shops. Just different papers to draw on. So there's some interesting things there. Look at the mess I've made. So all of these are down. Look at my YouTubing life. Right, let's get this down now and then I can put everything back. So there's that all down, ready to start building this spa. Everything's been put back up there. You can see how useful that bed is. Now, should we go and see what the dogs are doing? Oh gosh, let's go and see what they're up to. They've been way too quiet. Oh, I can see one of them. Dogs! Dogs, dogs! Come on, well, I can see you. Come on, because Mummy's YouTubing. It always kind of looks a mess. But you can see this, my art studio, like backs out onto here, which is lovely. Okay, this was a stash of Elite 80 pieces. These are coloured pens that I bought, trying them out to see if they were good. They're quite good actually. I haven't really used them in much yet, but they are quite good. In here we've got the nail varnishes and the glass beads that I use for the eyes. Some pretty damn funky transfers that I bought the last time I went down to London. I think it might be time to make a denim skirt that will fit me no matter what the weight and cover them in transfers. What do you reckon? I mean, these are my boxes just full of the things I'm constantly reaching for. So these Staedtler pigment liner pens, just the best. These you can draw with them and then watercolour over the top of them and they don't bleed at all. And I normally order boxes in the 0.05, which is what I work in the most, 0.1 as well. So those are just, I mean, I get through, they're so expensive and I do get through them. The other pen that I like to use is this Stabilo Fine Point. So I've constantly got packets of that because I go through those as well. You've never known anybody go through pens so fast. These things I use all the time. You will have seen those in my videos. Don't touch Mummy's material scissors. Those are hidden away. And just cheap sketching pencils. For pencils, I like Derwent. They're the best. Now these are beads that I've been sorting out to try and make some like prayer necklaces with. and I've been looking at beads that make me think of Bridget or the Morrigan, so white and black. I've always got pots full of little bits of sewing. You can see that's a bit of sewing that I'm doing. Just odds and sods. So another gorgeous vintage tin full of cheap, sacrilege, full of just cheap kiddies felt tip pens. Those are really for the kids to use if they're just doing some colouring gigs. The garden, as I was digging the garden out, I found loads and loads and loads of these soldiers, and these are all just bits of Barbie toys, because I collect Barbies. So the Barbie hairbrushes from dolls that have been opened, a doll's leg, because you know that's what you do. Here in this basket there's vintage wrapping papers that I found, so with amazing patterns on like this. Just all sorts of paper, tissue paper, cellophane. A lot of these would have been found in charity shops or auction houses, like rolls like this. And then under here, all of this brown paper, which I'm using in my tarot journal at the minute, is what my new hose for the garden came packaged in. It came in a box, and around it was all of this. There's so much paper there, and it's just the type of paper I love. So I just folded it all up and wedged it under there. There's a hot tub under there as well. There's just loads. I think I'll be here forever if I show you it all. So perhaps I could come back and do another stash video at some point. I said I was going to talk about my training, didn't I? So I went to Hereford, then I went and did an art degree, constructed textile degree in London. So that's my training. Let me just show you what's in these, because I do reach for these quite a bit. And then my Muse, because this is Muse week. Look, there's Posca pens. My Muse is anything personal. I use my art to explore my life and unravel things. So if I think about what exhibitions I've had, I had the Connections series exhibition, which was about motherhood. I had my Mind the Gap exhibition, which was a sellout, which was about Tilly's diagnosis and working through the feelings of that. So you can see that there's loads of these Staedtler pens. Oh, Jelly Roll White, really important pen for me, that. I did a Making Sense exhibition with a fellow artist called Rachel Grant, and that was about becoming a mother. So it's autobiographical, really, my Muse. I've done the 100 Dolls and Me exhibition, was the last 100 days of my marriage, trying to work out what was going on, even though I didn't know at the time it was the last 100 days of my marriage, but it was. So that's just synchronicity, and it just seemed like the Muse kicking in and supporting me through probably the most traumatic time of my life. And then I've done big works that called Listening to the Voices in My Head, which was about exploring post-traumatic stress disorder, dissociative personality, linked to trauma as well. So I did some huge pieces that got exhibited in there, and then paper cutting, all linked to trauma. So very autobiographical. Motherhood, family, trauma. That's my Muse, my kids, my life story. Yeah, and now with these new watercolours that are coming in, so things like this, the Muse now, let me just move that charger out the way, is more linked to my new witchcraft practice. Let's get the Frida book down, because I can see some more paintings stored in there. That was some Halloween prompts. There's the Book Moon. That was the Queen of Swords painting for the Snow Moon. So you can see my spiritual life is coming in. My very first solo exhibition was all about stepping into Christianity. That was a sellout as well. That was, gosh, that was years ago. So my spiritual life has come into it. It's back into my artwork now. Spirituality, motherhood, life, trauma, battles, just a life story really. That's what I use my art for. So that's my muse. So that's it, guys. Thank you to Eris and Faerie for Art Witch April. It's fabulous. Those are my first 3 weeks. My Merry Meet, my Share My Stash, and my Muse. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see it any more like this, I've still got loads of stash to show you. I didn't make it up into the attic. Oh my gosh, let's just leave on this. This is an LOL doll. Oh my gosh, I think I might be in love with LOL dolls. This was actually Tilly's because she loves them too. But once she's opened them, they kind of get left lying around. So I picked this up and saved it from the dogs. And she said, oh, keep it in the art studio, Mommy. You can share it with me. Oh my gosh, I was so happy she said it. I do have to share my fascination with dolls at some point. Oh, she won't stand up. So yeah, let's leave on Tilly's kindness and my LOL dolls. Our LOL dolls. Freudian slip. Okay guys, thanks for watching and I will see you next time. Bye.